right, so welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us on this Mentorship Monday. We are joined today by Caryn Siebert. For those of you who aren't familiar with Caryn, she is Vice President of Carrier Practice and Carrier Engagement at Gallagher Bassett. She also was Mentor of the Year last year, 2020, for RISE. Nominations, by the way, are open for the 2021 Mentor of the Year. Check those out. And also, Caryn is a friend and mentor, so personal mentor for me as well. So just very happy to have her here today to talk to us about adding value. So we're going to turn it over to Caryn, and then at the end, we'll open it up for Q&A and do a little bit of networking. So with that, Caryn, I'm going to toss it over to you.
Sounds good, Amy. I was going to say, as we get settled in for today, I wanted to go ahead and thank you and thank RISE for providing us with this great forum. I mean, you know, it's a great way for mentors and mentees to have an honest, open dialogue. And as you said, Amy, I was blessed. Here it is, right nearby, the 2020 Mentor of the Year. So I'm looking forward to handing it off to the next person for 2021. And it's great. It's a two-way street, you know, being a mentor, but I learn a lot from mentees as well. We'll talk a little bit about that, you know, today. But, you know, it was interesting when Amy was talking to me about the topic about delivering value. It reminded me of an expression by Plato who said, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. And I did some research because it turns out that 100 years later, Peter Ackroyd said, value is in the eyes of the beholder. And what's worthless to one person might be very important to someone else. And I thought that was kind of interesting that they used that, you know, same analogy between beauty in the eyes of the beholder as well as value. So today we'll have a discussion about delivering value. And I thought, you know, about 10 minutes or so of a discussion here with me speaking up and then opening it to everybody else. And having a live Q&A or other things that are on our minds or other vantage points, because there is no one way to think about delivering value, as we're going to talk about today. And as we start out, I wanted you to think about this for those listening live or for those who are listening to this as a recording. You all get paid a salary, right? So being paid a salary means the company is already placing a value on what you do, how you do it, your effectiveness, your efficiency, your ability to resolve claims. Or one of the people who joined said she was in underwriting. So maybe you're an underwriter. Maybe you're leading people. Maybe you're an individual contributor. You're an attorney practicing law. You're mediating. Whatever it is that you're doing in this terrific industry of ours, you are presumably delivering value and getting paid for that, right? So when you think about that, think about translating that into the mentor-mentee relationship. Are you actually being paid to be a mentor or a mentee? The answer actually is yes, right? It's an implicit payment because your time is valuable. You are taking your time and putting a value on it to either mentor someone else on behalf of the company or to be mentored so that the company can see you grow. So again, being valued and delivering that kind of value. And your mentors, you know, they might be able to do other things other than mentor you, right? I mean, we're just talking about conferences and events and when are we reopening? But they've chosen, or the company has asked them to mentor you. And you as a mentee could be doing other things as well. Maybe you're being mentored after hours, so to speak, so you're taking time away from other things. And let's also think about the word value in terms of what are your values? Maybe it's ethical, maybe it's religious. Maybe you value being paid a higher base pay. Maybe your value is in a lower base, but you're getting paid bonuses or commission because you're delivering that and you're willing to take a chance on your ability to execute. And so you're getting paid for the value you're adding to the company right there. Maybe you're in a position where what's more valuable is time with your family. Maybe you have a young family, maybe you have an aging family with relatives that you're taking care of. So you're delivering value to them as a family member while still having a good work-life balance. And I saw some of the different people who were joining us today, and we're all different age groups. We're all dealing with the different things of, in my situation, an aging mom. And so my quote unquote free time when I'm not, working is helping her out, right? So I'm delivering value to my mom. But at the same time, to the company, obviously, and executing against my business objectives. So when you think about all of that, I'm going to throw in one more thing in terms of value and being valued and having values, and that is increasing your value. And I want you to think about the fact that you are a product, right? So we see in the headlines, companies being bought, companies are being sold. At the end of the day, you are the product. You're what they're buying and selling, right? Insurance policies are being issued. Someone's underwriting them. Somebody's pricing them. Someone's handling the claims. Somebody's reviewing the language. But all of that put together is the value, right? That's being put on a company as it's bought or sold. Or in the case, for example, with Gallagher Bassett, where we're owned by a publicly traded company of Gallagher, watching, hopefully, our stock price continue to raise. And that's because of the value that we are bringing as employees or that the company is bringing to the market. So lots of different ways to use the word value and to deliver value. And it was funny, I was thinking about this over the weekend as I was preparing, and I went to law school, okay? And I remember when I went to law school, gosh, 30 something years ago, right? So I'm dating myself. I was getting paid $5 an hour as a clerk because I wasn't bringing value. I was a clerk. What did I know back then? And then I raised, up through the ranks and graduated number 4 in my class. Now, I'm not telling you that to brag at all. I'm telling you that because that ranking as number 4 in my class in law school was very valuable for my first job. After my first and second job, we never talked about graduating and what my rank was. We never talked about my first job being $5 an hour, right? Nobody cared. Eventually, I became a general counsel for a major insurance company. And then I was in the C-suite as a chief claim officer or general counsel, became a CEO of a company. So nobody was asking at that point about what I did in law school, what my first jobs were. So this recency effect of what value had I delivered in my last job? What value was I currently delivering, and could I bring to the table if I accepted a different position or got promoted from within? So for example, at Gallagher Bassett, when I joined the company, I was, and I still am, primarily focused on the carrier practice and bringing in new business, working on strategy, brainstorming with potential clients. And I get to use my time and energy, and I don't say have to, I get to use my time and my energy and my experience as a claim professional, as a general counsel, as a quality improvement person to help companies in terms of looking at their overall strategy, appreciating data analytics, appreciating the fact that we can be a good business partner, and how do we deliver value to their company to grow, to help with succession planning, to help them do more products in different areas, right? And then what do I do to bring all of that to the company and to the other employees at the company to help them get deals done, to help mentor, right, and develop other people? I love working on the Gallagher intern program. Our program actually started June 7th. So for those watching it down the road, it started today here and will go till August 7th. And so I get to work with one of the interns throughout the month. So I'm really excited about that. Because, you know, how am I going to retire down the road and leave a legacy behind if we're not bringing that next generation up and delivering value? We also have a great diversity and inclusion program, equity, inclusion, and diversity. And so the company values my perspective, having been in the C-suite and being an ally through the years to all different types of people. And you know what? Every single one of them buys insurance. It doesn't matter if you are Black, white, brown, Chinese, Filipino, Korean, LGBTQ, high economic status, low economic status. We all need insurance. We spend about 15% of our income on something we hope we never need to use, right? So, and then when we need to use it, or more importantly, when our customers need to use it, we need to be there for them and deliver that value proposition. Why did they pick the companies that each one of you are working for when selecting who they were going to get their insurance from, who their broker was going to be, and who their MGA, who their reinsurance company was, who their law firm is if you're a lawyer out there. So all of that's important in delivering those values. And when you think about insurance and risk management and the legal issues, it's about communication. It's about being compassionate and empathetic, and yet doing the right thing and meeting your obligations, right? So that's another way you're delivering value. You're keeping someone calm through a process that hopefully for them only happens once. But yet for us, we're dealing with it every single day. The other thought for us all is perspectives, right? And so as we're delivering our value and bringing value proposition to the table, could you imagine if every single person here today or watching this recording in the future wanted to be a claim professional? It doesn't work, right? If everybody wanted to be an actuary, it doesn't work. If everybody wanted to be an underwriter, it doesn't work. We are all bringing our unique perspective and value to the table. If you can be the best at claims and surround yourself with smart underwriting folks, smart actuaries, great attorneys, people who are in human resources, data analytics, who can all supplement what it is you do, and you're showing that you can be a valuable resource to them for your claims knowledge and perspective, great, it all works as it comes together. And the same when you think about any other one of those professions. So Gen Y, Gen Z, Gen X, Millennial, whatever your generation is, you're also bringing different perspectives to the table. And you're reflecting the customers that are out there buying those services from your organization, right? So that all comes together. And that, again, is when we're all really, really valued. So I know I've been doing a lot of the speaking here intentionally to kind of set the stage. And I want you to also think about what's going on right now in our country with regard to equity, diversity, and inclusion. And the fact that, you know, at Gallagher Bassett, for example, we have these 4 pillars. We talk about awareness and education, career and opportunity, equity, and then social responsibility. So we have various members of the company who are in this network, and different ones have selected to be on different pillars. You can't have just one pillar, right? It falls apart. You have to have these multiple pillars holding up the value proposition of equity, inclusion, and diversity. And it's the same thing with our insurance profession. We all need to work together. If we put crappy data into our systems from a claim side or underwriting side, then the data analytics people are going to have all these beautiful charts with bad data. And the same thing with regard to our attorneys. You know, having timely reports is great, but if they don't tell us anything, you're just checking a box, right? It has to be comprehensive. You have to be bringing value, because ultimately all these claims are going to get resolved one way or another. So, you know, I think that all of these kinds of things are relatable. And then the ultimate decision as to value, you know, it doesn't just come once a year during a performance review. It comes all the time. You know, I'm constantly having discussions with my leadership and my leadership team, the leadership team I'm on, the people who I manage, thanking them, talking about how can we advance your career, asking what else they'd like to do, and making sure they feel valued, that they are adding value, and that they're becoming more valuable to the company, and that they're having fun along the way, which is really, really important. So I know there's not very many of us on the phone. I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions and answers. But while I get ready to do that, I want to tell a quick story. And that way, maybe somebody who's shy will think of a question to ask, or I've got the chat room open if you want to put it in the chat room. But I learned something from one of my mentors, and somebody who, you know, I've mentored people. I get mentored by others. I'm learning all the time. I love it. But I was heading to a business trip in Chicago, and I was accompanying the CEO of the company at the time. We flew in to Chicago, arrived at the hotel like 8 o'clock at night, something in that range. And this is going to kind of date me a little bit, but the CEO gives up there and he provides our name to the front desk clerk, and she dutifully checks him in first. And then when it comes to me, she says, oh, we don't have any rooms. You know, he just got the last room. And that was one of those moments that you're like, oh my gosh, right here I am with the CEO of the company. They don't have a room for me. And you know, you start to panic a little bit, but he was very calm, cool, and collected. He looked at her and he says, you know, can you get the hotel manager? Kind of reminds me of claims. Can you escalate this? So she gets the hotel manager, and he says to the hotel manager, if President Reagan were showing up tonight, would you have a room for him? And the manager says, well, of course, we'd have the presidential suite. It's in a private section of the hotel. And the manager, my CEO, the CEO looks at the manager and says, well, I got news for you. President Reagan is not coming tonight. So I tell you what, I'll take his room and she can have my room. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, I learned such a great lesson right there about how to have some finesse, how to be classy, how not to panic, how not to choose somebody out for something, and how to be creative, bring value to the equation, and ultimately get what we both needed, which is I needed a room to sleep in, and he got a free upgrade. So anyway, just a kind of a fun little story. And like I said, hopefully that gave people time to think about it and open it up for some questions. And I see that there's one in there, but I'm going to wait and see if anybody will ask me a question live.
Do you mind if I kick it off? I've got a couple that came from our DEI committee.
Yeah, that would be great.
Great. The first question we wanted to ask you was, as a young professional, what makes somebody with more experience value a young person's opinion and ideas? And it could be maybe how we present the ideas. It could be framing, but you could interpret it however you like.
Sure. And just FYI, Amy did not tell me these questions in advance, so we really are answering them live.
We are unscripted.
We are unscripted, exactly. So my name is Caryn, and it starts with a C. So I'm going to give you 3 C's. How's that, Amy? My C's will be clarity, confidence, and competence. Okay. So first, I think that for a young professional to be truly valued when they're having those kind of discussions, they need to speak with clarity as to what is it that they are either bringing into the relationship or looking to get out of the relationship, or feel they can deliver on, right? So if they're very clear about, here's my goals, let's say it's a mentor-mentee relationship, here's my goals, here's what I'd like to get out of this relationship, but here's what I'm bringing to the relationship as well, so that it's a two-way street. And you can say, you know, I'm bringing my perspective as a young person, I'm bringing my perspective as somebody who came from outside the industry, perhaps they had a different job, but what is it you're bringing to the table? Maybe you're going to teach me how to use Zoom. Good Lord, until this whole COVID thing happened, I was so excited I knew how to use Skype. Now I'm on Zoom, I'm on GoToMeeting, I'm on WebEx, I'm on all these different things. So I'm so excited. And then have confidence, right? So then when you're in this relationship, have confidence in yourself that when your mentee is making suggestions, that you can take some of those suggestions and run with it, or that you can ask questions back in a confident way to say, oh, I think I understand what you mean, but would you clarify that for me? Or, well, if I do this, where might that go next? Or be honest and sincere and say, here's what I'm very comfortable with and very confident in, but I think it's also a shortcoming that I'd like to enhance. And then the last C I would say would be competence. So then you have to show that you can execute and that you're competent at your current job and role and responsibility, and that you're you have the ability to get to that next level, right? Because if you're not good at what you already do, then why should the mentor or the company that's investing in you believe that you can get to that next level, right? So you got to succeed where you are. I had a manager one time who, he gave me a performance review. He gave me a 4, right? So it was 1 through 5, 5 being the highest. He gave me a 4. And I said, what would it take to get to a 5? And he said, when you get to a 5, you're going to get a new job and you're going to be a 3 again. Because I want you to get uncomfortable, there's another C word, comfort, get out of your comfort zone and do things that you don't even know you can do. And then you're going to be a 3 again, because you're going to meet my expectations before you can exceed and before you can far exceed. And when you get to far exceed, I'm putting you back into another job and you'll start again. So you have to have that confidence and be competent to do it. So those would be the 3 C's that I would suggest to our mentors and our mentees, both ways, to work through together.
I love that. That was a great answer. I'm gonna let someone else go next.
I have a question, Caryn. So
Yeah, Katerina.
Confidence is extremely important, and I try my best as a more younger professional to show that I'm extremely confident. But how do you get across as being confident, yet not looking like you think you know everything also?
Right, exactly, right? You don't want to look like a know-it-all. So on that, it's interesting. We talked at the very beginning, I said, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, right? Value is in the eyes of the beholder. I think you have the same situation with confidence, competency, and clarity. It's in the eyes of the beholder. What are they perceiving? What do they feel when they're interacting with you? And, some people are, there's all different communication styles. Some people are very data driven. Like, they see the data, it stands for itself, they believe it, they go, okay, here's the proof, I'm good to go. Others want to see documentation. Show me the document that you produced. Like, I'm not going to walk around with my resume, but they want to see the documentation. And then the other ones, which I think is what really comes up through what you're talking about, Katerina, especially, I've gotten to know you over the years and I've seen you in action. So I would say that's demonstrate. You demonstrate all the time what it is you're really good at, how you do it. I watch your interactions with people, so I see it for myself and I believe it. And so my perception, right, then becomes your reality. And you're also, here's another C word, you're also consistent. And the reason you're consistent is because you're authentic. You're being the real you. You're not coming up with this persona, and then when you go to a conference, it's a different persona. And then when you're at work, it's a different one. And when you're with your family, well, maybe with our families, we're all a little bit different. But you're consistent. And so I know what I get when I'm with Katerina. It's the same thing with myself or with Amy or Raisa, Ken, Richard, anybody. Hopefully that person knows what they're getting. Your employer knows what they're getting. I think that that authentic self and delivering that way and demonstrating it that way is a great way to do it.
Thank you.
And then, you get a lot of referrals. And one of the other questions that was just sent to me was with regard to how do you get other people to speak on your behalf, right? So how do you get somebody to advocate for you? And I think if you're meeting and exceeding their expectations, then that person can become your, here we go, another C word, they can become your champion. You want them to champion your cause. You want them to go out on a limb and say, listen, I hear, like right now, there's a chief claim officer job open out in the industry. And I went ahead and I sent someone's resume and I said, look, I know this person. I'm willing to champion for that person and say that he or she would be a great fit for your organization. Now, they, of course, have to then deliver and their resume will speak for themselves. And maybe other people will get a phone call about the person. But, then they have to go ahead and advocate for themselves. But at least I can be a champion for them based on my knowledge of that person and their track record. So that's something that mentees should also be looking at. If you see a job posted on your company website, sometimes it's on another company website, but I've had people who have done that and they've said, Caryn, I hate to do this to you, but there's this great opportunity with one of our clients and I'm going to apply. And the first time this happened to me, I was just heartbroken, but I said, look, I can't hold you back. I've been prepping you all this time for a bigger role and the role is with our client. You have to go for it. I understand. And so the risk manager at the client called and said, hey, I'm interviewing so-and-so. I said, I know, we had a discussion. I said, and it would be great. My loss will be your gain. And P.S. he went, he still works there. And that client is still a customer of my former company. So it all worked out well. And you have to be able to take those chances, right? Another C word, you have to take those chances. Okay. There was another item, Amy, that I was going to hit upon if people are interested in that. And somebody asked me about one of the things that as a mentor, what do I do as a mentor to have my career progress as well? And so for the mentors out there, I would say one of the things that I have done is create a personal board of advisors of people who, your family tells you what they think you want to hear. But this is like, 3 to 5 people, and sometimes it'll change, but 3 to 5 people who have gotten to know me over the years, and I've gotten to know them, and I trust their opinions. And they'll be another C word, they'll be very candid. If I come to them and say, hey, here's an idea that I have, what do you think? Or here's what I've been approached to do. What suggestions do you have? Or when I was switching roles back, gosh, probably 5 years plus ago, kind of brainstorming different opportunities and which would be the one that made the most sense. So as a mentor, making sure you also have that personal board of advisors that you can throw ideas around with and talk to, because sometimes the person to whom you report doesn't want to have you leave their, sphere, right? Because you want to get to another role that might be a peer of theirs or might even be higher than theirs. And how do you deal, with that? So that personal board of advisors would be something that for mentors, you might want to consider for yourselves.